What's going on, YouTube? Now, it's no secret that Americans love big SUVs, which is exactly why, for the very first time, Kia has designed a product specifically for the US market, the all-new Telluride. And it's not only big, but it's also surprisingly upscale, especially for the mainstream price tag. But before we get into the review here, we do want to extend a special thanks to our new partner, Cartown Kia, for giving us access to this fully loaded Telluride. And of course, if you're in the market for any new Kia, be sure to stop by their dealership or visit them via their website, which we provided a link to in the video description. So with all that said, let's go ahead and see if the production Telluride lives up to all the hype. So starting off with the exterior styling, you can tell right away that this is not just another forgettable crossover that blends in with all the rest. Instead, Kia has brought over nearly the entire concept car's design, which really makes it stand out. One of those pieces is the boxy grille, which comes in a couple different forms. So on most trims you've got this chrome trapezoid texture, but on the LX the center is black circles instead. Regardless though, all models have Telluride spelled out across the hood, as well as the rugged looking silver accent across the bottom. Now turning over to the headlights, they are also very distinctive, especially here on the SX where we have fully LED lights. These come with a stacked design surrounded by a yellow daytime running light, while your other trims come with a simpler projector beam halogen light. Finally, there are also LED fog lights on the SX. Moving on to the side profile, it has a really boxy and rugged look, which is amplified by the black lower moldings. Size-wise, it's also positioned at the heart of the segment, even though visually it looks more substantial. And then heading around to the rear, this is the area where most of the rivals are the blandest, but that's not so for the Telluride. It has a very unique and classy look, with a silver lower bumper, dual exhaust, and again you have Telluride branding across the back. Additionally, on your upper two trims, you have really cool looking vertical LED taillights, which have a kind of 3D look to them. And while we're back here, I'll go ahead and mention that it does have a full-size spare tire and a 5,000 pound tow rating. But overall, Kia has done an impressive job with the Telluride's design. This is a class known for playing it safe, so it's really nice to finally see someone step out and deliver something legitimately stylish. Now moving on to the wheels, this is another area where Kia inserted style. Every trim does get their own unique design, so what you are looking at are the SX's 20-inch black finished alloys, while the S trim also gets 20s but with a contrast design. The other two trims, LX and EX, come with 18-inch alloys. Heading up to the mirrors, they are always body colored, power adjusting, heated, and have integrated blind spot monitoring. The only feature exclusive to the higher trims is power folding on the EX and SX. Now as far as all the other safety systems, Kia gives you their DriveWise suite of safety systems as standard equipment. That means even the base model has automatic forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection, lane keeping assist, and adaptive cruise control with stop and go. And that's in addition to the standard BSM. The only system reserved for the SX is your automatic high beams, so this is a very impressive suite of safety systems. Finally, the last thing to discuss on the outside is the 18.8 gallon fuel tank, which is good for 432 miles of range for the front wheel drive model and 395 miles of range for the all-wheel drive model. And that is delivered via regular unleaded fuel. But anyways, that covers the bold exterior. So now let's go ahead and check out the very luxury-minded cabin. So every version of the Kia Telluride does come standard with their smart entry system, as well as standard remote start via the UVO app. Additionally, you do get this really nice and cool looking key fob. Now to get inside the vehicle itself, there's not a sensor behind the door handle, so you just press this little black button. And when you do, you will also see the power deploying mirrors come out. Alright, so checking out the cabin of the 2020 Kia Telluride. As you can see right off the bat here on this SX particularly, it's a really upscale looking space. Now, unlike most of the rivals, Kia actually does not use a cloth for the base seat. They skip straight to leatherette. So you've got that on the LX, and then going up just one more rung to the EX, that's going to get you real leather. Now here on the SX, however, you have the additional option by going for the Prestige package of moving up to real Nappa leather, which is what we have right here. And then as far as your color options, it's also pretty simple. So on your base model is going to be black only. The next two trims, you're going to have black or gray options. And then moving up to your SX is going to unlock the exclusive colors of espresso or butterscotch. And then finally, when you go for the Prestige package and get the Nappa leather, that's going to be available in black, gray, or that beautiful dune brown color that you've seen in all the show cars. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is beautifully appointed. You do have a nice leather material across the armrest, and then all the upper parts are soft touch. You also have a really nice looking faux wood trim as well. And then here on the SX, you do have standard 2-person memory seating. Of course, as far as your windows, they are one-touch automatic for all 4. Now coming up here to the seat itself, you will find that it is 10-way power adjusting on the SX with 2-way lumbar support, and you even have a power thigh extension. Now the S and EX are just going to be 8-way power, and then only the LX will be manual. And then like I was already saying, this does have the Nappa leather, which is absolutely beautiful. It feels fantastic, of course, and I really love what they've done with the stitching. Just really unique looking and really looks luxurious. But first, looking around this cabin, it really has an amazingly upscale vibe. And once you start touching the materials, that is definitely supported. So across the upper part of your dash, you do have a soft touch plastic with a nice stitching detail. And then coming to the middle part, you got a really realistic looking faux wood trim. Now even your lower areas are also soft touch. So here on this handlebar, you've got a really nice Nappa leather with the double stitching. Feels really soft and supple. And it does look shockingly similar to the Mercedes GLE we were in just a couple days ago. But overall, everything fits together really well and looks very, very nice. Now you do have standard push button start on every Telluride. When you press it, you will see either an 8-inch or this 10.25-inch display fire up. The 8-inch display is standard on your bottom 2 trims, and this display is standard on your top 2 trims. And it's one of the biggest I've ever seen in one of these mainstream crossovers. So what you're looking at here is the upgraded gauges in the SX. They come with the 7-inch multifunction display instead of the 3.5-inch multifunction display that comes on your other 3 trims. Now this is a really big and vivid display, and you can just control it with this little button here on the steering wheel. So you can cycle through your standard affair of information. You've got all your safety systems here. So there's your 4-wheel drive, and then you can go through all your various settings, including the settings for your head-up display. Now this model, since we have the Prestige package, does come standard with the head-up display. As you can see, it is nice and bright, and tons of different types of information can be displayed there just depending on what you have activated at the current time. Now coming back to the steering wheel, you do of course have electric power assisted steering, and Kia does nicely include this leather wrap steering wheel standard across the board. This leather feels really soft and supple, And you've even got the classy stitching on the airbag cover as well as the aluminum trim, so it looks really, really nice. As far as the buttons, they are also really high quality. Got your standard phone audio and voice commands over here. And then on the side you've got your adaptive cruise control as well as your multi-function display. Additionally, on the Prestige package you will also find these rain sensing wipers. And then as far as your steering wheel itself, it is manually tilt and telescoping across the board. And then on your EX and SX trims you do have the option of heating. Anyways, moving on to interior storage, the Telluride does have a lot, as you would expect from a big crossover. So starting out over here at your center console, when you open it up, you will see first a removable tray, and then underneath that you'll see an extremely deep bin. As you can see, it goes all the way down here, very wide. There is a nice felt lining at the bottom as well, and you will find a 12-volt outlet inside. Then up in front of that, you've got your 2 cup holders, a little storage cubby right there. Then you can press down on this cover, and you'll find another really large storage area, which also doubles as a wireless phone charger on the EX and SX trims. Now, if you don't have a compatible device, you do still have your traditional USB ports right there and another 12-volt outlet. Now, Kia was able to give you all that storage space without having to go to an electronic shifter like some of the rivals have gone to. So this is very simple to use, of course, and I really want to commend them. This is real aluminum all through here, so it just feels fantastic in the hand. But anyways, of course, you just pull back for drive. You can bump over here to the left to shift manually, but you're not going to find paddle shifters on any Telluride. Now heading into reverse, you will find a 360-degree camera system here on the SX trim. So as you can see, you've got your traditional view with active trajectory, and then you've got your 360 view right over here on the other side. It is very high resolution, and you do also have several different views. So there's your trailer backup assist, you've got your side views, and you can make different adjustments to the settings right there. Now, one of the really nice things about the Telluride is that Kia gives you rear parking sensors standard on even the base trim. And then here on the SX, we also have front parking sensors. And in addition to that, you will find an electronic parking brake and brake hold function standard across the lineup as well. Now, as far as the other aluminum buttons over here, this one is to defeat your auto start stop system. This one triggers your 360 camera, and this one turns off your parking sensors. And then up above that, you will find your drive mode selector. So you can just go through, you've got your comfort, sport, and smart mode. And then on the other side over here, you'll find eco and snow mode. Pressing down on this locks your center differential. But anyways, the next thing to stop and look at is your climate control system. Now, on your top 2 trims, you are going to have a tri-zone automatic setup, and then on your lower 2 trims, you're going to have a manual climate control setup. But here on this model, it is super simple to use. You just have these 2 big knobs to adjust the temperature. And as you can see, the heated seats as well as the heated steering wheel actually activate with the climate control automatically. So obviously, you know, they'll activate when I set it on high. It knows that I'm cold and needs to activate those 2 things. Additionally, you can press this rear button here to adjust the climate control on the back, or the rear occupants can do that themselves with their own panel of buttons. Now, checking out the heated seats down here, there are 3-mode automatic, like I mentioned, and that's standard on the S and up. And then on your ventilation is going to be standard on the EX and up. Alright, so now that brings us up here to the audio system. Now, the vast majority of Tellurides will come standard with the 6-speaker sound system. So that's on your LX through your EX. But then here on the SX, we actually have a 630-watt 10-speaker Harman Kardon premium audio system. So let's go ahead and take a sample of this advanced system. I have to say, overall sound quality is excellent. Now that brings us up here to the largest display ever equipped on a Kia, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. So this, of course, is your Kia UVO system, but the big difference on this model is that since the display is so large, you have split screen ability. So unlike on other models, for instance here on the home screen, we have 3 different sections that we can pull up simultaneously. Now to get into any of these sections, you can just click on it to expand it. So coming here to our navigation, this is standard on the EX and SX trims. And as you can see, it's extremely responsive and does have nice graphics as well. Now even if you don't have this navigation system, you do still have standard Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on all of the models, even if you have the smaller 8-inch display. Now there are a couple of Telluride exclusive features on this system. So for one, you'll notice this system called Driver Talk. And what this does is basically pick up my voice with some microphones right up here in the front, and then work as an intercom system to project my voice into the back seats. And then additionally, going back to the home screen, we will notice this mode here called Quiet Mode. And when this is activated, it just makes the audio come out of only the front speakers so that you won't disturb your sleeping children in the back. But anyways, that pretty much sums up the main features of the Kia UVO system. However, we will make a dedicated tech help video available for those of you who want to learn more. A link to that will be provided in the video description. Now moving on up, you will find an auto dimming mirror on the EX trim. However, you will have to get the SX to get the HomeLink universal remotes. But one feature that almost every trim has is a moonroof. You'll actually find a standard moonroof on all but the base LX model. And then if you go for the SX like we have, you'll actually find a dual panel setup, so you've got the pano roof in the back as well. So that's a really nice feature to have. Additionally, I want to point out that on our model with the Prestige package, we have this really beautiful and soft feeling headliner. This is something you usually just don't find in a mainstream vehicle. And really that sums up how I feel about the Telluride in general. It is really easy to forget that you're sitting in a mainstream vehicle here. The level of luxury, attention to detail, and craftsmanship are really unparalleled in this class. But anyways, now I'll go ahead and hand it off to Mason, who will finish up the rest of the cabin.
So in the back of the all-new 2020 Kia Telluride, you're going to find a huge amount of space. It's technically rated at 42.4 inches of rear legroom and 40.2 inches of rear headroom, which does place it above the main competitors like the Toyota Highlander and Honda Pilot. Now turning over here to the door trim, it does keep that same upscale vibe, so you do have a leather armrest with stitching going through it, some more of that faux wood trim, some real metal accenting, and you will also find a rear window sunshade on the EX and SX trims. Coming down, you will find your window switch, and you will also find some of the coolest features about the all-new Telluride's rear seat, and that's that it's heated and ventilated on this fully loaded model, and this is included in the SX Prestige package, and this is absolutely the first mainstream vehicle to ever have ventilated rear seats. Now down below that, we do have some door storage. And as far as the seat itself is concerned, it is a beautiful design. It has some more of that Napa leather with this beautiful stitching details going through it. And as you probably can tell, we do have the captain's chairs on this particular model. And that's because it is an option on the S models. But if you get the EX or LX models, you will have only the bench seat. Now as far as the features are concerned in the Telluride's rear seat, you will find tons of them. So up here on the top you do have some cup holders, and down below that you will also find a 115 volt household outlet on the SX Prestige model, as well as a 12 volt power outlet. Now, your main features for your rear vents are up here on the ceiling. So up here you do have controls for your tri-zone climate. So you have your temperature adjustment as well as your zones and the fan speeds. Now you do also have some LED lighting. And all models will have these rear vents, even though the 3-zone climate is reserved for the upper trims. Now I do want to also take a moment to mention this beautiful headliner. This is the upgraded headliner that comes in the SX Prestige package. And this is honestly one of the nicest headliners I've ever felt, regardless of if it's a luxury vehicle or not. And coming over, you do also have an assist grip. And of course, we do have the panoramic moonroof on this fully loaded model, which really helps air up the cabin. And I do want to mention just how big this second panel is. It's like 3 times the size of the front one, so it does cover both the second and third rows. Now, like I mentioned, we do have the captain's chair, so we do also have an adjustable armrest. And it's also worth mentioning that in the back of each seat back, you do have charging USB ports, which is a nice touch. But anyway, as far as the space is concerned behind rear seating position, I have probably about, 8 to 10 inches of rear leg room, and my feet can easily slide up under the seat. And scooting over, even with the seat scooted all the way back, I still have probably 4 or 5 inches of rear leg room. So the extra space compared to some of its rivals is definitely appreciated. But overall, the second row of the Telluride is an awesome place to spend time. This honestly feels like a true luxury vehicle back here. There's tons of features. It's just absolutely crazy that the features that this car has. So I'm very impressed with this car's second row. Now to get into the third row of the Telluride, of course you can just walk in between on this captain's chairs model, but Kia has made it even easier. So all you have to do is locate this little button, push it, and it will electrically fold the seat and slide it forward. The only other car I've seen like this is the Acura MDX, and it's a really nice setup. But checking out the third row of the all-new Telluride, you're going to find 31.4 inches of rear legroom and 38 inches of headroom, which are really healthy numbers for the class. So let's go ahead and get back there and see what it's like. To slide the seat back into place, you just do like that. And I'm going to scoot over here to the seat that's adjusted for probably what most of you will do. So even with the seat scooted to normal seating position here, I still have about 1 inch of room for my knees, and my feet even do have a spot to go up underneath. So this is actually a really, really spacious rear seat for this class. I'm very impressed. Now, the seat itself is pretty comfortable back here. It's not made of that same Nappa, but it is still a nice quality leather. And Kia does give you quite a few features. So you do have some cup holders here, as well as some smart charging USB ports, and some vents, which even some luxury competitors do skimp out on. Overall, the third row of the all-new Telluride is still a wonderful place to be. While it's not quite as nice as the second row, there's still plenty of space back here, and it's also very comfortable. And to get out, all you have to do is locate this little button, and it will slide it out of the way. Now coming around to the tailgate of the Telluride, all you have to do is wave your foot under the bumper, since a hands-free power tailgate is standard on the top 2 trims. So checking out the cargo area of the Telluride, you are going to find a really large amount of space, just like you would in the second row. So you're going to find 21 cubic feet behind the third row seats, and if you fold them, that will give you 46 cubic feet. And then as a maximum, with all the seats folded, you have 87 cubic feet. Now that is bigger than all of the rivals, so that's bigger than the Highlander and Pilot, as well as of course the Kia Sorento. Now back here, Kia does finish it really nicely, so I do have a nice carpeted floorboard, and lifting it up, you do even have additional space up under here. And on this side, you do have a 12-volt power outlet for charging stuff. And you even have a power folding ability, so all you have to do is push this button for the second row. And it does fold the seats down. Now to fold the third row, all you have to do is grab this little strap and push forward. And as you can see, when you do that, you do have a fairly flat loading floor, and if the seat was scooted all the way back, it probably would connect. And over here on the passenger side, you do have that same beautiful seat. I'm a really big fan of the seat design, and it is also 8-way power adjusting on the top two trims. Now you do have surprisingly nice materials in front of the passenger, so you do have a padded dashboard with stitching, as well as some more of that beautiful wood trim. And down below that, you have a nicely sized glove box that is even felt lined. Up top, the sun visor does have a mirror in it, and it is also LED illuminated. You can also detach it, and it does have an extension. Well guys, that pretty much sums up all the rear areas of the Telluride. So now let's go ahead and get to the powertrain and take it on a quick test drive.
Alrighty, so let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain options. Now with this Telluride, they basically skip base model, so to speak. So you go straight to a 3.8 liter V6 engine with 291 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque. That is right in line with the V6 competition, but like I said, all models get this engine versus a lot of the rivals start you out with a basic 4-cylinder or smaller turbo 4 that does make less power. All models do also come with an 8-speed automatic transmission, and you do have front wheel drives as standard equipment or an optional torque vectoring all-wheel drive system available across all of the trims. And then finally, you do have 2 fuel economy numbers. So for your front wheel drive model, it's going to be 20 city, 26 highway, 23 combined. And with all-wheel drive, it's going to be a little bit less, 19 city, 24 highway, 21 combined. But anyways, now we'll go ahead and go for a quick test drive. Alright guys, so as soon as the Telluride arrived, we rushed out here to grab this to show you guys as soon as we possibly could. That being said, there are some extraneous situations that make this test drive more limited than normal. Primarily being we have no gas, and that's quite a distance to the nearest gas station in standstill rush hour traffic. But we're going to give you the best impressions that we can. Now just starting out here, you can already tell just how smooth this vehicle is. This is definitely, as we've pointed out many times during the review, this is a more luxurious feel to it than the average thing in the class. You know, for no more money, you do get that more luxurious ride and handling for sure. Also, just starting out, you definitely have plenty of power. Like we said, you get a standard V6 engine here versus the rivals where they're going to make you pay extra for it, more or less. This road is quite rough here, and like I was saying, you really do have a luxurious ride. It definitely takes these bumps with ease, I cannot feel any type of violent intrusions or anything into the cabin.
You can definitely tell that this car has comfort in its priority book, as really with any car in this class, because it's supposed to be a comfortable family vehicle, and the Telluride definitely excels at that, in addition to adding luxurious features.
That's right. And just noticing here as I'm turning around, the turning radius is exceptionally small. I don't know what the exact number is,
yeah,
but this feels really maneuverable. I don't know if the camera can see this very well or not, but we do have this camera system, which is like a lane watch type of deal. So when you turn on your right signal, it activates the right camera and then shows you basically your blind spot. But you do also have traditional blind spot detection as well, so you've got both of them. That really makes for a great combination. The other thing I'm really enjoying about this car is the steering. It has a really nice weight to it, not too light, but not too heavy as well. It's got light enough to be plenty maneuverable, but at the same time, a lot of the rivals have a tendency to be so light that you don't even know, where the wheels are being placed or anything like that. And I don't feel that here. It definitely has a good combination for the steering, in my opinion. And then to join the long list of things I really like about this car, the transmission. This 8-speed automatic is super smooth. You definitely don't feel any type of harsh shifts or anything. But in conclusion, for our brief drive here, I definitely am impressed by the way that the Telluride drives, handles, the way it feels. It really, the premium vibe of this car carries into the driving dynamics, which is what I'm most impressed by, because this car, like I said at the concluding the interior, it really makes you forget what this competes with. You find yourself, you're like, we've been in some Mercedes models and BMW recently, and it's like the Napa leather, the smooth steering wheel, the refined powertrain, the dual moonroof,
all the features,
suede up here on the roof. It just makes me think about these upscale luxury vehicles that this doesn't really compete with. This is competing with your run-of-the-mill Highlander, Pilot, Pathfinder, Explorer, stuff like that. And compared to those things, I'll go on and tell you this is definitely going to be your more luxurious of them. So if luxury, if you want that luxury experience but not the luxury price tag, then I can't think of any better SUV to recommend than a Telluride.
Alrighty, so as you probably have noticed throughout the review, the Kia Telluride offers a lot of value for your money, and that does continue for the pricing information here. Now for the very base LX trim, you're going to start at $31,690. And then if you want to move up the trim, you have the S model, that's $33,990. The EX is $37,090. And finally you have this top end trim, which is the SX, that is $41,490. Now, like Drew mentioned, across all the trims, all-wheel drive is an option, and that costs exactly $2,000 extra on top of that. Now, as far as how this particular Telluride is equipped, we do have pretty much every option checked off. So we do have the SX Prestige package, which adds quite a few features, and that is $2,000, as well as carpeted floor mats for $210 and alloy wheel locks for $50. And then if you add in the $1,045 destination charge, this particular model rings in at $46,795, which is definitely a value player here in this class, because most of the rivals like the Toyota Highlander and Honda Pilot top off $50 or above. So this is definitely a value player in the segment. It's about,
and that's not even counting the extra features
yes,
that you have in this relative to your more pedestrian Highlander Pilot, the features that we pointed out with the upgrades in materials and technology.
Well guys, we hope you enjoyed watching the first in-depth look at the 2020 Kia Telluride SX. Please hit those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.
Hmm.